All right, welcome to the Week 18 preview on Chalk Talk with Chuck and Jalen. Jalen, how are you?
What's up, man?
What's up? We made it. Final week of the
We
season.
made
It's
it.
great,
Week 18.
unbelievable. Good job by us for making it this far. Sal and Bill would say. So we're here. We are going to start as we always start with the hate list. I don't really have an addition. I'm just still in Steelers hell. I guess one of the things that I hate right now, and this is to just piggyback on my prior Steelers hate, is that I am so sick of reading about what's wrong in Pittsburgh on my Twitter feed. It's so dark. It hasn't been positive for weeks, if not, the entire month of December. And I am done with it. I just want to win a game to get to the playoffs and hopefully win a playoff game so I can put all this BS behind me. But other than that, I have nothing else to add to my hate list. What about yourself? You've got one, right?
I do have one. It's the Indianapolis Colts.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think they have just been so awful this last 5 weeks of the season. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like they should be in the playoffs and they just suck, man. I know we talked all season about Anthony Richardson. Oh, he's young, let him go. But I don't know, man. You got it the stuff that's happened prior to now, during the season, like him falling for get out of the game and stuff. It's just looking like more and more of a problem now that we're in week 18.
Yeah, the Colts are just so frustrating at this point. It's
Yeah,
they
they even have Pat McAfee like saying he's not going to renew his season tickets. He's been talking all week about how much he hates the Colts, which is crazy to have a former player just go in on the whole organization like that. You don't really see it.
no, just dog your team like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I know Pat's like a big media guy now, but usually if you're like a punter, you're not really talking that puffing out your chest that hard
Right.
at things. But um yeah, he's not holding back at all. Well, I think it's for good reason. There's been a lot of stuff coming out about the Colts, like how the guys on defense were trying to hold Richardson more accountable for stuff early on, and there's guys showing up late to everything all during the year. It's just it's bad, and it just kind of pissed me off to watch them lose to the Giants put up 45 points on them, dude.
Yeah, which is insane. And it's crazy because coming into the season, I think people would have said, Shane Steichen looks like one of these guys who might be a good coach. Look at what he did with the Colts last year. Uh, but when things go bad and start going bad in a locker room, it's so incredible how fast they deteriorate. And the highs can be high and the lows can be so low. And you see it every year. They're just teams that the coach starts losing a beat on the locker room and things start sliding, and there's really no excuse for the Colts not to at least be in the playoff picture because we've hit a point now where we're, you know, just the winner of that division might be 9-8, and it's inexcusable not to be in contention for that. So
Yeah, but that's all I got for my hate
nice.
list.
Yeah, I mean we've gone through a full season of absolute hate. So I also thought about maybe doing season-based awards now, and we can talk about this later. But I think maybe even after the Super Bowl or after the regular season, we can do something. But we have a full slate of games. We've got a lot going on. I think doing season awards will be fun. We could do like a season and postseason award kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
that would be dope.
yeah, in play because next week the amount of games we're going to be covering just plummets. So we'll have some time to fill. I do have a basement tape this week. I texted you about it. My grandpa is here for the holidays, He was here earlier this year, and he's been living here. And I don't know if I've told this story, but it's even worth a re-up at this point because we didn't start the basement tapes for a little bit into the season. But my grandpa wakes up every morning and he makes this concoction, and it's a smoothie of some sort, if you want to call it that. He dumps, bananas and berries and all this stuff, and every morning he offers it to me. And it kind of looks good. I'm not going to say that it looks bad, but I caught him a couple of weeks ago while he was making it, and I've never accepted the offer because I know that there's something fishy going on there that he's not telling me. And thank God I didn't accept it because he's also dumping about, two servings of Miralax in there. And he's going around offering this drink to anybody who's in the house. We've got house guests. He's offered, my buddy Riley was just here from DC, offered Riley. And I told him, I was like, Riley, my grandpa's going to offer you this drink. Don't take it. It's got 2 pounds of Miralax. You'll be shitting the rest of the
Gonna be
time here.
shitting nonstop.
You're shitting nonstop. And I told him, I was like, Grandpa, you can't offer that to people. It has 2 pounds of Miralax in it. And he's like, oh, well, what if they didn't know they needed it? I was like, everybody else's machine is well oiled, dude. Nobody else is 89.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
maybe offer it to like some other 89-year-olds, but I don't think
Right.
anybody that's in their mid 20s or 30s needs that yet.
So that's been and it's happening every morning. He offers it to me every morning, and then I have to remind him that he's putting Miralax in it, and he goes, "Oh, well, you never know if you're gonna need it."
Man,
I've got a feeling I don't need that, dude.
I I don't know if I don't know if I want to make it that long to where I'm like I'll just take some Miralax just in case I need it today.
It's every day too. I know. I feel bad. There's like a double like negative here. One, I'm turning down this drink, which he thinks is fantastic, and two, I have to like come to the reality that my grandfather needs that much Miralax just to get through the day. Uh,
Yeah, it's crazy.
but yeah, that's the basement taste. My mom was very thrilled that she got her cameo last week, which
Yeah, dude, she rocked last week. What do you mean? She came on screaming about T. Higgins. That was awesome.
nobody loves T. Higgins more than my mother. I think she has a fat head in her classroom.
No
So
way.
yeah, dude. Yeah,
That's awesome.
she
I hope they
loves.
win this week for her, man. I would love to see the Bengals in the playoffs.
There's so much that needs to happen. It's actually a pretty good segue because we have a bunch of games this week. The Bengals and the Steelers play. There's two Saturday games. The first one is Browns Ravens. The Browns are going to Baltimore. Baltimore is favored by 19 and a half, and the over under is 41 and a half. Let me see. I don't have the perfect FanDuel lines up. Yeah, 41 and a half. And if you're scratching your head, why are the Ravens playing people? Well, it's because if the Ravens lose this game and the Steelers win, the Ravens actually drop out of the division and the Steelers get the division. So 19 and a half seems insane for a game the Ravens could lock up early, but it's the beginning of those like if this then that, if this then that. Uh who do you like in this?
I mean, who's playing quarterback for the Browns?
DTR.
Is he actually, or is
Yeah,
I thought he
I
was
think so.
hurt?
Dude, I mean they're all hurt. Because they haven't been. I think it'd be crazy if they weren't starting DTR. I'll check their depth chart, but
No,
oh, they're gonna
Bailey
play. No, they're
Zappi's
gonna play
starting.
Bailey Zappi. They're gonna play Bailey Zappi this week. Okay, so we're on what their fourth starting quarterback this year.
Yeah, like why not just give us a Jameis game week 18?
Dude, I think they're scared he could win a game on accident.
It's yeah, that's true. I mean they're tanking without tanking. So
Right. There's also a weird situation where if both the Titans and the Patriots win and the Browns lose, then the Browns get the number one pick. So they're trying
oh,
to lose this game.
okay.
And if they win, it
Yeah,
makes things a
I
lot
like the
easier.
Ravens though.
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they're gonna come out and just destroy this team.
Yeah, my thought is like I DTR is horrible, and it's probably worse than Bailey Zappi. This line's
Yeah, it
19
is.
and a half. It's 19 and a half to me is a huge number. Uh, I would probably prefer it to be a little bit lower to take the Ravens on the spread just because there's a world where the Ravens go up 21 and they just put the backups in.
Yeah, no, that's valid. I mean, winning by 3 touchdowns is insane.
Yeah, and it's weird to
But
have the cover of the game be half of the over under,
I know, I was just thinking that too.
you know? And I don't know
Yeah.
how limited they're gonna be. Like, I don't like, how many snaps am I realistically gonna get out of Derrick Henry in this game? How many snaps am I realistically getting out of Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews? It's just can't be that much. Uh, but man, the Browns are so bad. It's tough, but I think I'll split the baby and just take Ravens to win, Browns to cover.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Ravens to cover because I don't care if Mark Andrews and Derrick Henry don't play. I think they could smash this team with Isaiah Likely and Justice Hill. So I'm fine with. I'll just take the 20. I know it's a lot, but it's the Ravens, man, and they need to win this game too. So I feel like they're just gonna you know dominate.
Punch him in the mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think there's gonna be a ton of fight from the Browns at this point either. They'll probably lay down after they get down by a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've heard from some people that they're thinking about firing Stefanski. They'd be so dumb. This year was not about
Um,
Stefanski.
yeah, fires Stefanski. So what are they gonna do if they get like a top pick? Are they gonna take a quarterback or what?
Yeah, that's another thing. I read something that they said that they have to rock with um, Watson for at least 3 more years because the buyout is so ugly.
Yeah,
At the same time, those 3 years could be substituted with a rookie quarterback salary and just, have Watson as the backup in Cleveland and hope maybe there's a team that gets desperate enough to want to trade for him. I don't think there ever would be, but that would be what I would do. I would take Cam Ward if they somehow luck into a first round quarterback, but I have no idea what they're going to do. Because it's not like the rest of the roster isn't fairly talented. We've seen what they're capable of when they are healthy. I
well,
just
what about them getting the number one pick and then trading the number one pick to someone else, but the other team has to take Watson as part of the deal? Like, do you do that if you're another team to get the number one
I would
pick?
I wouldn't. I'd say have fun with the number one pick. Uh, that contract is so bad. Unless Cleveland's willing to absorb 60% of it or something at that point, then sure. But I just
I'm
don't
sure it'd have to be
foresee
like some sort of split on it because
split cost.
nobody's gonna be like, yeah, we'll take Deshaun Watson's whole contract.
Yeah. Well, that's what
That's
I'm
crazy,
hoping.
man. Can't even trade the number one pick
I
if it's
mean,
attached
it's
to Deshaun Watson.
we've talked about it all year, but it's only made more funny by the fact that Baker's played really well for Tampa.
Oh yeah,
And the way they treated him was just atrocious. So the
what a
next game is a game of
sad organization.
great consequence, by the way. We've got Bengals Steelers. It's the late game on Saturday. Bengals are 2.5 point favorites in Pittsburgh. If the Ravens lose, the Steelers have incentive to play, but I think the Steelers have no matter what have an incentive to play because if they lose and the Chargers win, the Chargers are playing the Raiders down the road. Uh, the Steelers they drop to the 6th seed and have to play the Ravens again next week, so they'll have played just a gauntlet. They I think would love to get in the 5 seed, play Houston, who hasn't had a good game, and just as long as the Steelers haven't had a good game, who have looked somehow worse than the Steelers. I don't know. I don't know what to do here because there's also a part of me that really wants the Bengals to make the playoffs because out of the options at the bottom, I think that they're the most fun. And I love watching them when they're going. That Denver game last week while we were streaming or while we were doing the pod was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Uh, it's unfortunate because if the Bengals had just won one more game somewhere in there, they're in, and we're not talking about this anymore. But because they couldn't do that, this is a must-win game for Cincinnati in Pittsburgh. They struggle in Pittsburgh. It feels like a Tomlin game. I'm gonna take the Bengals, and I just
No,
made that
you're
decision.
not.
Taking the Bengals.
And the Bengals to cover?
2.5 in Pittsburgh, sure. If the Bengals are going to win this game, they're blowing the Steelers out. If any part of this game is close, it's going to be classic late game Steeler magic.
Yeah, that's what I have too. I think the Bengals are gonna win this game. I think they're just gonna. I mean, they beat people by outscoring them. Pittsburgh's had a rough time scoring the last few
Yeah,
weeks.
totally.
Uh, I don't know. It feels like the Bengals are gonna win this and not make the playoffs to me. Like I think they'll play awesome in this game, and everyone will be like, "Oh, I wonder if they're gonna make it or whatever." And then
Right.
whatever the scenario is, they just won't make it, and that'll sum up the Bengals season perfectly.
Well,
Doing
the
all they
worst
could at
case
the end of the
scenario,
season just to have it not
yeah,
work out.
the worst case scenario is that Denver actually ends up losing to Kansas City, or yeah, losing to Kansas City, and then Miami beats the Jets,
Yeah.
and Miami gets in.
Oh, so the Bengals need both of them to lose?
Yes. Now,
Oh, dude.
the Dolphins are starting Ty Huntley, and nobody knows what's going to be going on in New York. But
Well, maybe Aaron Rodgers will bench himself for the first half of the game and then play the
that'd be
second half.
sweet. That'd be sweet. I mean, part of the nice part about the division being at the end of the year is no matter what, none of these teams want to do anything for each other. They
Yeah.
are division games, right? The Jets don't want to be the team that let the Dolphins in. I don't think the Chiefs want to be the team that let the Broncos in, although the Chiefs probably don't want to be playing the Bengals either. Uh,
Hell no.
Right, and that's the biggest problem is the Chiefs might do anything they can to lose this game so that they don't have to worry about the Bengals. I mean, they're
Oh,
already playing.
or do they want him to get in so they play Buffalo?
See, and that's another thing, right? Because if no matter what, if Cincinnati wins in the first round against Buffalo, they take out the team that's probably most likely capable of beating the Chiefs.
For sure. Yeah, this is tough, man. Too bad the Bengals didn't win just one more game.
Yeah, it's terrible. Really, why couldn't they beat New England week one?
Week one. when
You
they
know,
when they ruined everybody's
yeah, they ruined everybody's loser pool or pick'em pool. Uh,
what is that called again? I forgot.
Oh, I don't even remember because I was out that week.
Yeah, well, I was at the second week, so that's why I
So,
don't remember.
and I mean, they just have a bunch of like really bummer losses. They lose to the Chiefs by 1, the Ravens by 3, the Ravens again in overtime, right before overtime by 1, Chargers by, a score. So it's been a tough year for the Bengals.
Yeah, well, at least they've been like watchable while being bad. Because Jamar
Yeah.
Chase and Joe Burrow have been stuff on every week to watch,
This
even
has
though
to be the first time in
Jimmy's not
NFL
there.
history where you have a quarterback have the most throwing yards and a receiver win the triple crown
And not
and
make the
not
playoffs.
make the playoffs. I mean, the last time a receiver won the triple crown, the team won won the not the World Series, the Super Bowl. It was the
Yeah.
it was the Rams. So, ironically against the Bengals.
Yep. Well, womp womp. Maybe next year.
The next game has implications. Pretty pretty mild, but they are implications because the game's going on at the same time. So to open the Sunday slate, we have the Panthers and the Falcons. The Falcons are 7.5 point favorites against the Panthers, who are inconsistent. I don't think the Panthers are good, but they got better as the season went on. I think they're actually kind of a fun story. And the Falcons, who have been up and down, are now starting Penix. They come in as 7.5 point favorites at home against the Panthers. The over under set at 48.5. The Falcons have to win this game. And every time I take the Panthers to cover, they don't cover, and every time I take them not to cover, they cover.
Yeah, well, so last week, I don't think we like this is on both of us. I didn't remember that Chuba was sitting out, or I definitely wouldn't have picked them to cover.
Yeah, I did not know that. Just
Yeah, I'm
flat.
like watching the Bucks absolutely tear them up, which they very well could have done anyways. But I was like, "Where is Chuba?" And then he's like on IR, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not paying attention to like every little
Fantasy.
injury because fantasy's over."
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think for that reason, I have to take the Falcons to win and cover. So much about what the Panthers have done this year is because of Chuba.
For sure, Chuba and uh, Bryce Young every once in a while. But
Yeah.
I'm with you on the Falcons. I actually am sort of impressed by Penix stepping in and being like he's been pretty solid, I think. And I thought their game against the Commanders, he played pretty good too. Um,
Look, as far as a rookie
I
coming
like him to
in with
win.
consequence, this is about as good
Yeah,
as you could ask.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I also don't think the Panthers are really itching to win this game either. I could be wrong because they've been losing for so long that they might just not care. But
Right. I mean, the implications for them, they're out of the number one sweepstakes, but at this point, any pick better is a pick better. Uh, that's just, you know,
yeah, they who knows? They might strike gold with like the fifth pick instead.
right, right. You never. I mean, they are 4-12. I guess, there is a world where they end up, in some sort of weird system where they're in top five or whatever. But uh, it seems like there's enough teams above them that are actively trying to lose. Where
There's a lot of bad teams this year, man.
an unbelievable amount of teams that are just so bad.
There's like 7 teams that are 4-12 or
Yeah,
worse.
yeah. I mean, there's in the AFC alone, there's 3 teams that are 3-13,
Yeah.
which is
Uh,
incredible. And the Giants should be one loss worse, but somehow they managed to fumble the bag on the first pick of the draft.
Somehow they accidentally scored 45 points on the triangle of terror or triangle of doom.
Our favorite defensive group in NFL history, really.
Yeah.
The next game is Cowboys Commanders in Dallas. The Commanders are 6.5 point favorites. This too has some implication because if the
Mhm.
Commanders win, then they lock up where they're at. But if they lose, there's a chance that Green Bay leapfrogs them, and then the Commanders have to play the Eagles, and the Packers then get the honor of playing whoever's in the 3 seed, which is likely the Rams. But that also is interesting. The Rams have decided not to play anybody. Doesn't seem like they care about being the 4 or the 3 seed. Because if they lose and the Bucks win, the Bucks actually end up going up to the 3 seed. So I like the Commanders here. I like them to cover. I think that it's a weird game. I think 6.5 is big for a Commanders Cowboys game, but I'm going to take the Commanders.
Yeah, I like the Commanders to win and cover here just because of how the last game went. I think
Yeah.
they're looking to get back at the Cowboys a little bit. Plus, I don't trust this team with CeeDee Lamb out.
No, no. And
If if Lamb's in,
last
I'd
time
probably
they
pick
played,
him again.
Lattimore wasn't a factor. Lattimore is sort of a factor now, so something to consider.
Yeah, I hope the Commanders win now.
I do too. I do too.
I would rather
Philadelphia
see I'd rather see Packers Eagles first round.
for sure. Yeah, that'd be great. A,
Um,
a rematch of the Brazil game.
I
Be
yeah,
awesome.
I mean I just think it's a really good matchup. I know we have like our pardon my take stuff on the side with Commanders Eagles, but I don't think the Commanders can beat the Eagles again.
Oh, I don't think so either. But they
However, I
they
do think they might be able to sneak one out against the Rams.
yeah. or the Bucks, whichever that
Yeah.
ends up. I mean, no matter what, those 2 teams, anything could happen. So, I think the Commanders are looking to try to make themselves be in the best situation possible.
Yeah.
And if that ends up being the Bucks, that's actually a really good situation for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Bucks are somehow the easiest or somehow gonna be, like, the worst team to make the playoffs in the NFC, which is
Right.
crazy because they beat
Which
the Eagles and the Lions this year.
no, they've been good, and Baker's a great player. Like, he's just had an awesome year. They still have Mike Evans, so
Yeah, I guess we can talk about that when we get to the Bucks game.
for sure. The next game is Packers-Bears. The Bears are 10-point dogs to the Packers. The Packers are at home. This is again not a must win, but a need win for the Packers because if they win and the aforementioned Commanders lose, then the Packers go up. I could see a situation here where Commanders are up big, the Packers are up at half. They look at the score at half and they just pull the guys. For that reason, I'm going to take the Packers to win and the Bears to cover. Just because I don't know at what point do the Packers go. We're winning by 7. We're winning by 10. We're probably going to win this game. Even if we lose, it does not matter. We're going to end up playing who we end up playing. And we see what's happening in the other games. So yeah, I'm gonna split it on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn because the Bears suck. I'm gonna take the Packers to win and cover. I think
Oh wow,
yeah, I actually like them off of a loss to come out and dominate.
I love it.
And 10.5 isn't that crazy. Like I could see them winning this game by 13.
Right.
So yeah,
But you're
I'll take
taking
it. Whatever.
you're
The Bears are
you're taking
so good in garbage time, though, man.
yeah yeah.
Caleb Williams, he might be like Hall of Fame garbage time player.
Oh, his numbers in garbage time have saved his season, and I'm so
Oh
sick of
my
hearing the stats like, "Oh, Caleb Williams actually having a great year." It's like, yeah, well, they're down
god.
30,
Yeah.
and he's not throwing picks because he's throwing safe balls. And if he's missing guys, he's missing them by. The reason he's not throwing picks is because his misses are misses out there.
Yeah, Wemby's not even catching the balls he's throwing sometimes, man.
Oh, no, dude. God, Megatron would have a hard time catching that stuff. Now we get to there's a run of games here that don't matter at all. Starting with the Jags and the Colts. Colts are 3.5 point favorites against Jacksonville. We have the Colts as like one of our most hated teams. Jacksonville squandering one of the best rookie receiving seasons we've ever seen. This just goes to show that if you're not ready to draft a receiver, don't draft him. It doesn't matter how good he is. If your team's not ready, you're not going to win games. Colts have been in a free fall for months now with the quarterback situation, with just poor team behavior. They seem completely unorganized. I don't know. What is your feeling here? It's a 3.5 point game. The over under is 43.5.
I mean, dude, I have no idea. I have a better chance of getting this right by flipping a coin or asking someone who's never watched football in their life.
Yeah. Honestly, honestly, I I am going to flip a coin. I've got a coin right here. The heads will be the Jags and the tails will be the Colts. And it is tails, so I'll take the Colts and I'll take the Jags to cover so that I can split it.
I mean, that's my recipe when I don't know what to do is take the favorite and take the underdog to cover. So I'm with you.
Right on. Yeah, without further ado, we'll just get right to Buffalo Patriots, which is another game where the Bills are playing all their backups, somehow still favored by 3 points. I think the Pats said that they're going to trot Drake May out there. I think they'd be really dumb to do so. They should not be playing Drake May. Uh, I don't know how this lines. The Pats are so bad that they're playing their starting quarterback against Mitchell Trubisky, and Trubisky's still favorited. I'm going to take the
Yeah,
Pats to cover. You know what? I'm gonna take the Bills to win outright. I'll take them all the way.
Yeah, I like the Bills in this, um, mostly because I think if they bring Drake May out there, it's a selfish decision for Gerard Mayo to like try and
Right.
like get another win under his belt. But I think it'd be so dumb because you have the number one pick locked up.
No, it's dumb. You have like all the reason to want to lose this game, which makes me think that they're gonna end up not. They going all out here.
Yeah, I'll take the Bills. I think they can just run the ball and kick field goals all day and probably win this game. So I'll take the Bills to win and cover.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, this game
Oh,
means
you
more to
had
the
two?
Pats than anyone. Yeah, I've got the Bills to win and cover. The game means more to the Pats than it does the Bills for them to lose. Because if they get the first pick and they can trade out and
Oh, they can get a haul.
they can get a haul, and their team
Um,
has so much they need for development. So,
yeah, since we're on the Pats, I saw a
sure.
fun little hypothetical this week where the Pats get the number one pick. They draft Shador, they trade Drake May, draft Travis Hunter, and hire Dion.
That'd be so dumb.
I agree. But it's fun to think about. I mean, they should probably just draft Travis Hunter, though, trade out of the one to like what, three and take him.
Yeah, I've got I've got Travis Hunter takes out the wazoo about like he's not the best player at either position in the NCAA. Uh, you should I would be evaluating Travis Hunter as like the third best receiver in the draft because
Hmm.
if you're not going to take him, you're not taking him to play two positions realistically in the NFL. He might be a nickel or a dime corner for you every now and then. It doesn't really free up all that much space on the roster in the NFL. The rosters aren't constructed like that. It's not like baseball where you get the pitcher hitter combo. Uh, the injuries are too high. I would be evaluating him at receiver because that's what he's going to want to play because that's where he has the most likelihood to make the most money. Although I think he's a better DB, which is another frustrating facet of this. But if you're evaluating him at the third best receiver, which is where maybe you evaluate him one tick higher than that, maybe at second because you do get some of the defensive value, maybe some of the special teams value. I'm not taking him that early. I'm not taking him. No receiver's gone number one overall.
No,
No DB's
oh,
ever
that's
gone
insane.
number one overall. Those are just positions that don't go 1-1. So and they rarely go top five. So if you're a team in 6 and 7, I think that's where you look. But this feels like a classic. The Giants take him, and he ends up being just a middling guy. Uh, there was a guy in
Travis
Michigan.
Hunter.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a guy at Michigan that played like him, Jabril Peppers, who's a good, not great safety, but a good safety. He's a starting guy. And I think that Travis Hunter will be a starting NFL receiver, maybe even a pretty good one. But to take him at 3 when you've got better options.
Well, the Pats should take an O lineman, is what they should do. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. If Bill Belichick was coach, he'd be like, "Yeah, we're taking this guy from I don't know any of the O linemen, but you get my point."
Yeah. He'd trade out of this for, 4 future firsts somehow and like 2 future seconds and then just draft straight O line and D line for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
The Pats are in a good spot, especially if they get the first pick to do some awesome stuff this offseason. I mean, there's a world where they do a sign and trade for T. Higgins with that pick involved. They do all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
where do you stand on like Shador? Now that we're talking about it, like I don't think he's gonna be better than Drake May. Do you?
no, not even close.
No, I don't love the quarterbacks in this draft.
No, the best one in my opinion is the kid in Miami.
Cam
Uh,
Ward.
yeah, Cam Ward, who's been awesome and is really fun to watch, but has his ups and downs too. Miami had no defense this year. Had they had like a semblance of a defense, they're probably in the playoff and actually scrappy. But I think that Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. And there was a draft with less quarterback talent than this one. I think Cam Ward is better than anybody that was in the Pickett year, which was like Ritter, Pickett, Malika, Willis. And the Steelers made the mistake and took the first quarterback off the board, which was Pickett, obviously, in the first round, and it was a disaster. And if you're
Wow,
one of
he's
these
made
teams,
the playoffs.
oh yeah, yeah, and he's played all right for but
Mr.
I,
Fourth Quarter.
God, the Pickett years were so brutal, man. Uh, and obviously,
Yeah,
like,
I hear you.
those other two guys are so bad they're barely in the league. Uh,
Yeah.
what do you do? What do you do if you're one of these teams that needs a quarterback? You pray that you can do the sign and trade for the next Sam Darnold, which was something I almost added to the hate list, but I was going to wait a week for the narrative to develop. But I'll say it now. Stop saying that people are looking for the next Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold exists in an incredibly rare situation. Okay. Sam Darnold is the result of fantastic coaching, good situation after good situation. He goes from Shanahan to you guys to being placed on a team with two awesome receivers and a great running back, which gave him the opportunity to succeed. One of these bad teams is not going to, if you're the New York Jets, you're not going to find the guy and make him Sam Darnold. You don't have the infrastructure. Stop talking about it like it's possible like that. The Sam Darnold situation only exists because the Vikings made it exist.
Yeah, and you're also not going to sign Sam Darnold if you're one of these bad teams and get anything close to the results that he's had this year.
Exactly. Right. I mean, we've seen bad teams sign quarterbacks like, for example, the Panthers had both Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on their team less than 2 years ago
Yep.
or 2 seasons ago. It didn't work there, not because Darnold somehow, he took ayahuasca and became a great quarterback. I mean, it doesn't work. It's not like it's because Baker Mayfield went to go play with two awesome receivers and a great coach and a good system down in Tampa Bay. Lovey Smith, just kidding. And call back to a few episodes ago. And Tampa or and Darnold goes to Minnesota after taking a pit stop with one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL in San Francisco. And I'm not going to give Shanahan the credit for that. I'm going to give, you know, Kevin O'Connor the credit for that in Minnesota because he's the guy who's been just pumping out high performance from his quarterbacks. But
From anybody you throw on the field, he'll get the best out of them.
right. But it that doesn't hurt to go be with Shanahan and see like a high powered offense work. So
No.
it, I'm so sick of these narratives. I mean, even the Russell Wilson thing, it's like Wilson played better for the Steelers because his situation was better than it was in Denver, not
Yeah,
because he got his eyes opened. So let's pump the brakes on sign and trade for some former first round quarterback that we all know is garbage.
yeah.
All
Agreed.
right. What was that? What was that breakdown? That was the Bills and the
That was
Bills and
Bills Pats, baby.
the Bills Pats, everyone. But yeah, my analysis on Shadur is he's like a second round pick at best, but he'll go in the first. Uh,
I mean, I think I'd take him first. Like I don't know if I'd give up a haul to like get him at one, but
I mean, look,
I
I
don't know.
guess if you're the Raiders and you're sitting there at whatever pick the Raiders have, 5, 6, 7, and he's still on the board, take him. Fine.
Yeah,
It's not going to hurt you. You're already in quarterback coach hell. You're the majority of your money's tied up in some pretty bad places if you're the Raiders. So why not take a shot on the kid who could, at least give you exposure? But
for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I don't see it. Next game, Giants Eagles means nothing for either team. If anything, the Giants need to lose more than the Eagles need to win. Of course, the Eagles are locked into the second spot in the NFC. Uh, Eagles haven't been playing Hurts in a while. I thought maybe we could get some Hurts stuff here where he could, play a few snaps in the first half. I don't think they're going to go that direction, right? They're just going to play that kid from the
He hasn't even
preseason.
cleared the concussion protocol.
That's incredible. It shows you what a team can do if they want to hold a guy off for a concussion
Yeah.
and what they can do if they want to rush him back from a concussion. Jalen Hurts is a perfect example of that. Because if they
Yeah,
needed him here, he'd be playing.
for sure.
But instead, they know they don't need him. The Eagles got really lucky with the end of their season because they had Cowboys and Giants. They just had to beat one of these two teams to make it in. They beat the Cowboys last week. The over under in this game is insanely low. It's 37.5. Not the lowest we've seen, but pretty low. I like the Eagles here. I think the Giants got their winning out last week. Drew Lock's not gonna do that again.
No, he'll get benched before if he's playing like that again.
Right, right. They're gonna do everything they can to lose this game, and 2.5
They
just
can't
is.
they can't go 2-0 in the last 2 weeks.
But they could because they're the Giants.
That's a great point, but I think you could really mess things up if you win another game. So I like the
Yeah, that's
Eagles here just because I don't know. Like even on bad teams, I'm still just like, yeah, well, they're on the team. They're probably paying attention. They're probably competent players. Like, that's just what good teams are just good, top to bottom. So I'm not stressing about like the Eagles backups filling in on defense or offense
no
this week. So yeah, I'm with him. I'm taking the Eagles too.
nice. Saints Bucks. Bucks win. They're in. Lose, they have to pray for a Falcons loss. So that's all mixed up in this. They'll be playing at the same time as the Falcons, so they won't be able to monitor each other as it goes. But I like look, the Bucks are 14.5 point favorites against the Saints in Tampa Bay. I like the Bucks to win here. It means a lot for the Bucks to win. They lock this win up. Not only do they guarantee their spot in the playoff, but as we talked about a little bit earlier, if the Rams lose, which when we get to the Rams we'll talk, but the Rams are benching their starters, they actually get the 3 seed, which is better in theory. Not great, but means they avoid potentially playing the 1 seed in the second round. So I kind of like the Bucks to win and cover here. 14 is a lot, but the Saints are dead. They're deader than dead. We've watched them for a couple weeks. I don't know if there's maybe some energy around the Saints because they are really the focal point of that city, and some atrocities that occurred in New Orleans this week. But
Yeah.
maybe it means more to the city to lose this game and get a better draft pick. You know, uh, a win here doesn't really do anything for anybody, but these two teams hate each other. And I have slept on this rivalry my whole life. This is a true rivalry. So don't be surprised to get the very best of the Saints, although Lattimore's no longer there.
I like the Bucks to win and cover, and my biggest reason is Mike Evans has a $3 million incentive to hit a
There we go.
thousand yards this week. He needs
1,000
five
yards
catches.
combined with the 5 catches for the 100
He
receptions, too,
needs
right?
Yep, he needs 5 catches and 85 yards for $3 million, and you bet your ass he's gonna get that.
Yeah, and I would also I'd tag onto that. Forget the incentives. If Mike Evans gets another 1,000 yards, it means he's never played a season in the NFL where he doesn't have 1,000 yards. And if I had to bet, Mike Evans made enough money in his life. He'd love the extra 3 million. He'd probably love more at this point to be able to say, "I never didn't get 1,000 yards,"
Yeah,
even in the
yeah. No,
season
I
where I
mean,
missed 6 weeks or whatever it was.
hey, 3 million's a lot, even to these guys, though.
Oh, 3 million's more than enough to incentivize anybody to do anything. But
Yeah,
I don't know. This is me who doesn't even I make $20 an hour talking about 3 million for 5 receptions. I'd go out there and make the quarterback throw to me every time. But all I'm saying is Mike Evans is probably just as hungry to get that record than anything else, to continue this unbelievable streak he's on.
yeah, and I think since they're gonna be playing the same time as the Falcons, I mean, there's no reason they're not gonna be coming out with their foot on the gas.
Now you got to go out and ball out in that situation.
Yeah, I like the Bucks though, man. I like Bucky Irving. We got another receiver out of nowhere too, Jalen McMillan.
Yeah, what? Yeah, there we go.
It's
Where did he
crazy
come from?
because I almost picked him up in for my fantasy championship, but I was like, nah, I can't be. I, here's how smart I am. I said, no, I'll keep Garrett Wilson and trust Aaron Rodgers.
Look,
I
when
don't
you
have.
make it that far in fantasy to do a waiver transfer in the last game, unless there's like total need, I get it. It's too dicey.
I mean, it is, but I think he put up like 17. He scored. He scored like every week the last month or something. He's like going
He's been
off right
awesome.
now.
I mean, that's to me, that's a larger compliment to Baker than you would ever think,
Yeah.
because whoever's plugging and playing it too there is playing well.
Yeah.
So, and good, what? Great job to the Bucks this year. Middle of the year, they were so beat up and injured. It looked like they had no hope, and here they are. It's a bad division, but team's got to win it. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a huge reflection of who Baker is as a player. To just
right.
hang in there and just gut it out. And they're most likely going to, if I had to put money on it, they're going to win their division and get in. So,
Yeah. Yeah, which would be huge for me. I'm At the beginning of the year, I picked division winners. If the Bucks, Ravens, and Detroit, but I'm only cheering for one of those teams to actually win. I only missed one division. So there's that. Texans, Titans. Texans go into Tennessee. Tennessee's a 1.5 point favorite, which means the Texans aren't going to play anybody, which I get. They've had just a monstrosity of injuries this year. I wouldn't be playing Nico Collins either. But I'd probably like to get my quarterback in a little bit better rhythm. I'd probably like to get the offense playing together a little bit more. So I don't know. For me, like it's kind of like seeing one go in for a player, like get to the free throw line and just hit a shot. But they don't seem to be prescribing to that. They seem to be comfortable potentially losing to the Texans or the Titans. But the Titans are so bad. Lord only knows what can happen here. I actually kind of like the Texans to end up accidentally winning this game. But they'd probably love to keep the Titans out of contention for the first seed in their own division. So that's kind of my main motivation behind taking the Texans is the Titans are going to be doing everything they can to lose this game. Texans might want to keep them out, but at this point, the Titans feel so far away from where the Texans are at. I just think the Texans are going to end up winning.
we have incentives on. Oh, we do. We have Tony Pollard incentives for the Titans. 83 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he gets 450,000.
Well, there you go.
I
Still
don't
like
know
the
if it's
Texans.
enough, but
Yeah. I don't know if
um
they're going to ever be in a situation where he can score 2 touchdowns. The over under is
maybe
36.
not.
Another low.
God,
Low over under.
The Texans have fucked me so many times this year.
Dude, they didn't
Truly.
fuck anybody harder than the people who took CJ Stroud in fantasy.
Oh my God, yeah. So glad I didn't draft him. Who's the Titans are favorites here?
And they're 1.5 point favorites.
I guess, man. I'm gonna take the Titans to win and the Texans to cover because I don't know what's going on. So
Yeah. Smart.
I can
Smart.
guarantee a
I got to make
point
some
on the.
headway, so I got to take some risk.
That's also valid.
The next game is a game that means nothing, so much nothing that it appears the Niners are just going to bench everybody because they are 4.5 point dogs to the Cardinals in Arizona. This is I- I'm going to take the Cardinals to win and cover, and the reason for it is this is a showcase for Kyler Murray for whoever he's potentially going to next year. The Cardinals are going to
The
want to get the
Steelers.
highest value out of him, and I've seen the Steelers rumors, and they scare me a little bit,
Why?
not too much, but yeah. What about you,
You don't like Kyler?
dude? Look, Kyler is so fun.
Your dad would be so pissed watching him
Oh,
play quarterback for you.
look, well, because this is what would happen. Kyler would be so fun for my dad would doubt him. He'd come out and be fun during September and October. The Steelers would look like world beaters, and people would be talking about us curing the Kyler Murray problem because Kyler Murray's great in the early season. He always is. And then things would fall apart, and my dad would lose it. dude. It would be great for the pod. Be great content for the pod. But I don't. The Steelers don't take risk like that often. I mean, people might point to Russell Wilson, but we got Russell for $1 million. I don't think you're getting Kyler for $1 million. And at that, like, what's the huge difference between Kyler and whatever we're going to trot out there between our options next year? It's just probably not that great. But yeah, I think that this is the Cardinals are going to go out there and try to get all the value out of Kyler. They're probably going to try to get their tight end 1 touchdown this year.
No, he scored last week. He scored last
Oh,
week.
did he score? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. As you can tell, I don't watch Cardinals football if I can control it. So yay.
Yay
Maybe they'll
for
get him a
Trey
couple more.
McBride.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also like the Cardinals in this game.
Yeah.
Kyler, 50 rush yards, 1 rushing touchdown for 750,000. So
Well, he's getting that.
he's for sure gonna get that. But yeah, I don't know about the Pittsburgh stuff with him. I don't know if it would look any better than just putting Justin Fields in for $1 million. So
Right. Right. Oh, the next game. So now these afternoon games, that was the Niners and the Cards kick off the afternoon games, but there are some crazy playoff implications, especially when it comes to the Bengals. In this next game, I actually have a couple comments on because it's Chiefs Broncos. The Chiefs are 10-point dogs to the Broncos, who are hosting the Chiefs. The Broncos win, they're in. Simple as that. You got to imagine that this would mean a lot to Denver to get in this year after everything that's happened over the past 2 years. The Chiefs don't need to win. Obviously, they've had the 1 seed locked up now. And my one thing about this for the Chiefs is that they're obviously not playing any starters, and they're obviously not playing next week. And by the time they will have played their starters, it will have been around 20 plus days since you've had Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and all the guys out there. And it'll be a second round game playing a team with momentum. And if I were Andy Reid, I would at least play these guys for a quarter just to keep them acclimated. But I guess the logic is we're the Chiefs and they deserve that. The rust versus rest thing comes into play here. You don't see it often in the NFL, or it's not as glaring in the NFL as it can be in other sports, but it feels like a big deal to not play your guys for that long. I don't know
yeah,
what you think
so
on that.
those are all valid points, but I don't think it matters for the Chiefs.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a valid point.
I actually think it would benefit like Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Travis Kelce a lot to just chill out for a few weeks.
No, I think so too, but God, I don't know. To me, the NFL is so physical, and you see these guys. I mean, it's so rhythm based, and it seemed to me like the Chiefs were finally starting to get everybody on the offense clicking. Right, Hollywood Brown was sort of starting to figure things out. You had who's that rookie? I can never remember Worthy
Worthy?
starting Xavier Worthy starting to figure things out. I almost said James Worthy, which is hilarious.
No, I heard you say that or start to say that.
But like you have Worthy and Brown, and they just seem to start to kind of get the click with these guys. And now it's not gonna be there for 20 plus days. That seems like a huge risk to me.
Look, I think you're right, but like the Chiefs always have the 1 seed,
Yeah,
and they've had they've sat out the last week of the season before too.
yeah, and by all
I don't
means,
know. I
they've
just don't think it
earned this right.
matters for them.
No, and they've earned this right, right? I mean, they've completely earned the right to say we're not playing these guys.
Yeah, and if I'm gonna trust like a coach to have people prepared, I mean Andy Reid's on that list.
Yeah, yeah,
Patrick Mahomes is not gonna come out like he forgot how to play football in 2 weeks. Nor are like any of their key guys. Like Pacheco's not gonna he's not gonna forget how to run. He's on hasn't even been playing that much anyways. He's only been playing like 50% of the snaps.
Yeah, and I guess Kareem Hunt wasn't playing for weeks, and then he just decided to suit up and be a baller for the Chiefs. So you got a good point.
Yeah. Oh man, great fantasy pickup too. Had him.
So I really want the Bengals to make the playoffs, and I've had some conversation with myself, like, do I emotionally hedge by taking the Broncos here and just being okay with it, or do I go all in on the Bengals making the playoffs thing? I'm going to emotionally hedge. I'm going to take the Broncos to win. It's 10.5. That feels like way too much against any Chiefs team, but I don't know who's going to be playing for the Chiefs. I haven't looked at the full roster construction. I know that Wentz is playing quarterback. Wentz versus Sertan. I'll take the Broncos to win and cover the 10.5.
I have Broncos win, Chiefs cover because if there's one guy that can still get reps, it's Harrison Butker, and I think they're gonna have him out there kicking a lot. I don't think
Yeah,
they're gonna score a ton, but
and
get
it's
in
Mile
field
High,
goal
right?
range.
So
It's mile high.
yeah.
He'll be dinking and dunking from 50 all day.
Wow, that's annoying. We should take his over for kicks.
I think he's gonna hit a kick to cover because
That
that's
would
how
be
Chiefs games
hilarious.
work.
That would be hilarious. All right, next game. This game, I thought that this was so interesting because if I'm the Rams, I don't know if I'm doing this, but I guess they haven't had a bye week since week 6. The Rams have decided that they're going to rest everybody against the Seahawks at home. The Seahawks are 6.5 point favorites. If the Rams lose and the Bucks win, as we've talked about, they actually fall to the 4 seed and have to play the winner of the Detroit game, as opposed to playing likely the Commanders, um, or the loser of the Detroit game. I hope I said that correctly. Uh, Over unders 38.5. There are a million Geno incentives in this game.
Yep.
So when you look at it from that lens and the fact that the Rams aren't playing anybody, 6.5 for the Seahawks in LA. I just like the Seahawks here. I just, I don't think that this game would have been a blowout even if the Rams were playing their guys because of the Geno incentives. The guys like Geno in Seattle. Everybody likes Geno. They want to see him get paid. Not to mention, we don't really know what the future holds there. This could be kind of maybe a last gaff. I also think that the Seahawks coach wants to win a game against McVay. I think guys want to beat McVay. Nakua's not going to be playing. Cup's not going to be playing. This is going to be, and it's going to be a kitchen sink game for the Seahawks. So I'm going to take the Seahawks to win and cover.
Yeah, I assume Kyron Williams is not playing either, right?
Yeah, no, I mean the way that they've run that guy, he deserves 4 weeks off.
Yeah, I like the Seahawks to win and cover here. I don't think I just don't think the Rams care about being the 3 seed or 4 seed. They actually might be happier to play Detroit or Minnesota because McVay's sick in the head like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
very true.
I'd kill myself if we lost to the Rams this year.
That would
Again,
suck.
yeah,
That would suck.
I just don't want to see them, dude. I'll play anybody else.
No, I don't think anybody wants to play the fully loaded Rams. I mean, I think that's part of what McVay's thinking here is like nobody wants to play us anyway. We're just as scrappy against any team.
Yeah, dude. I mean, can you imagine if they can get the best team in the NFC as the 5 seed and knock them out early too?
Oh, and build all that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, that's when the pinky bet for Big Cat gets really scary if they do
Really
that.
dicey. Really dicey.
And then we have the Packers knock out the Eagles. Like things could get wild.
Very wild. I at least thought that the Rams might announce that they're going to play the starters and wait to see the results of the earlier game.
Yeah,
But he just said, nah, fuck it.
I think their guys are just too like Cup and Stafford are just too old right now. They need the
Yeah.
rest more than reps.
Yeah, and you kind of get the feeling that it's like I know that those two guys will be ready no matter what.
Oh, of course. I mean, everybody's gonna be ready. That's the thing. Like, there's only a select few coaches that I'm like, yeah, if they took 2 weeks off, I still expect them to be ready. And it's probably like Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, Mike Tomlin's in there too. Like, probably the Harbaugh. Like, it's maybe 8 or 9 coaches where I'd feel
Right.
good about the team being ready, but the Rams are one of them for sure.
For sure. The next game's interesting, I think only because we kind of reserve the right to flip a pick here down the line. It's Chargers Raiders. This game means something to the Chargers if the Steelers lose. If the Steelers lose, then the Chargers have an opportunity to leapfrog them into the 5 seed, which I think every AFC team wants. Every AFC team wants to be playing in that 5 seed rather than the 6 or 7 seed where you have to play Buffalo or Baltimore. But if the Steelers win, the Chargers are out of contention for that and could just say, we're not going to fall down to the next seed below us. We're comfortably where we're at, and we're going to rest the guys. But for now, the Chargers are going to play their starters, and it's a 4.5 point spread in favor of the Chargers against the Raiders in Los Angeles. I'm going to say Chargers win and cover in the scenario that the Steelers play and lose. Well, the Steelers are going to play, but in the scenario where the Steelers lose, if the Steelers end up winning, I'll take the Chargers still to win, but I'll take the Raiders to cover.
Okay, that's fair. I think Harbaugh's probably told them, be ready to play. So I think the backups are ready to go
Yeah.
if they need to. So I think I like the Chargers to win and cover either way.
Okay.
And I actually don't think I don't know if they'll even sit Herbert. They
Yeah,
might sit
you
like
just don't know.
Dobbins, but Dobbins also has an incentive for 58 yards and he
Oh,
gets
that's interesting.
150 grand. So
I mean, the Dobbins thing, when you look at everything when it comes to JK, it's like he actually means a lot to the way that that offense runs, and it would be
oh yeah.
devastating for him to go down in this game. And his injury history is so, illustrious that I I, I wouldn't care about his incentives. I'd just play him.
Yeah.
You know, I'd just play him, or I just wouldn't play him. I'd just bench him. Sorry. Hey, Dad, what's up? I'm getting. Oh, okay. I'll be up in a little. And that was Basement Tapes Part 2. We got 2 more. This next game means something too. It means a lot to the Dolphins because if the it's Dolphins Jets in New York, and take a crazy guess, Jalen, but the Jets are somehow favored by 1.5. The over under is
Of course they
38 and a
are.
half. Tyler Huntley's playing. I still don't get it. Maybe there's a Tyrod Taylor bump here if Aaron Rodgers isn't playing, uh, which somehow does feel like a bump. But the Dolphins, if they win and the Broncos lose, they're in. They lose and the Broncos lose, the Bengals are in. I mean, we've gone over the scenarios, but the Dolphins, if they win, they're in with a loss by the Broncos. So weird year. I'd be really disappointed to see the Dolphins make it in over the Bengals, but that almost feels like the most likely scenario because it's just the most bummer scenario is that you'd
Yeah.
have like a Dolphins Bills first round matchup. We'd be deprived of seeing Burrow, even though the Broncos ended up losing. Um, I like the Dolphins to win and cover here. I mean, what are we talking about? How are the Jets favored in anything?
You know what? I'm gonna take them.
You're taking the Jets.
Taking the Jets. I think it's maybe Aaron Rodgers' last game in the NFL.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
And I definitely think it's the last time that him and Devontae Adams will be on the same team. So I'm taking him to win.
All right. A
And
feel good story in New York.
I'm expecting like 175 yards and 2 touchdowns out of Devontae Adams.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. It'd be
Yeah.
hilarious if it's like Aaron Rodgers is like, yeah, well, I had a great career, but nothing meant more to me than that week 18 win against the Dolphins. Getting to just connect with my buddy for a last time. That's why we brought him in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So,
Well, we've been doing it all year, Jalen, and I'm going to let you introduce the game of the year, the game
for the
of
last time,
for the last time. Well, probably not the last time, but for the last time in the regular season, I'm kicking it to you for what I think is probably the most anticipated game of the season. I cannot wait for this. Go ahead.
I can't wait either. Vikings, Lions. They scheduled it for the Sunday night game. Props to them. It's Lions minus 2.5 in Detroit. We've got special jerseys coming out for both teams. We got the Lions in all black, and we have the Vikings in all white with purple helmets. Uh,
Oh,
yeah. So it's gonna be awesome. Um, Division on the line here. Winner gets the 1 seed. Loser gets the 5 seed.
yeah,
We've got an over/under of 56.5. One of the biggest lines we've
unbelievable,
seen all year.
unbelievable.
And I'm just gonna make it short and sweet. I'm taking the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, dude. I'm taking the Vikings. We were talking about it before the pod. First of all, congratulations for being in this spot. I think if we
Feels
rewound the
great.
tapes to week 1, week 2, week 3, when you were talking about being on Travis Hunter watch, we are in a completely different universe. The Vikings are awesome. So congrats to you. It's well deserved. It's your football season. You won fantasy. Now let's win the division.
Oh, dude, this would be a year I would never forget for the rest of my life. If I won fantasy and if the Vikings somehow won a Super Bowl, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm like over the
Yeah, well,
last
you
few
have
weeks,
to be thinking
I've just
Susie,
been
right?
like, well, dude, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can fully comprehend it yet, but it's just like every week I watch this team, I'm like, they're so good.
Yeah.
And like I've never been able to watch a Vikings team this good in my life. Like I have awesome memories of like watching Adrian Peterson, but like fucking
Sure.
Christian Ponder was the quarterback. And
Yeah.
there was that one year with Brett Favre where, the Saints got paid to like try to murder him. The Vikings were pretty good that year, but and then we had like the Kirk Cousins year where we basically had the same record, but I mean,
The Minneapolis Miracle, right?
Minneapolis Miracle, but I mean, I wasn't thinking soupy that year. Not with Case Keenum, right? Like I'm like, oh, cool, we won a playoff game,
Right.
and like the Kirk Cousins thing, where I think we won the division. Yeah, we won the division that year too, and had like 2 or 3 losses, but it was like
It felt different.
by the
It felt
skin of
so
our
different.
teeth, man.
Right.
Like these are good wins, and these are like dominant wins this year.
No, look, I
Where
mean,
the eye test tells you the Vikings are just the better team when you watch. There's no fluke about any of these wins.
no, and some of them are just the 2 Packers wins are impressive. The Niners win early in the season. I know what the Niners became, but at that point, they weren't what they were then. That's an impressive win, and they've just been able to take advantage and beat teams that they're supposed to beat. I know that a lot of their games look close on paper. If you're going back, you're like, oh, they only beat that team by a score. No. Those are garbage time touchdowns to cover spreads. Essentially, is what's going on late in the season.
Yeah.
And there are blowouts on the schedule. I mean, they blew out the Falcons, who are a borderline playoff team. They were hammering the Packers for the majority of that game. They hammered the Packers early in the season for the majority of the game. They have played the Lions really tight. It was a 2-point game earlier in this season. And
Mhm.
this is a different Lions team. I mean, people have to take the veil off here a little bit and look at what's going on with the Lions because yes, they have won a bunch of games with this injured roster, but they played these past 2 weeks since they dropped that game to the Bills. They've played the Bears and the Niners, who are 2 teams that are rolling over, and they kind of eked out against the Niners last week, it felt like. Uh, I just think that there's too many injuries for the Lions right now. If they were fully healthy, this game would still be equally as interesting. I still
Yeah.
think that the Vikings would be equally as likely to win as they are now. They're even greater to win now than they would be if the Lions were healthy. Your guys' defense is so good and so much fun to watch. I really hope you guys lock up the 1 seed. I'd love to see you guys in the 2nd round, 3rd round, Super Bowl. I mean, I'm cheering for you guys to come out of the NFC. So,
Me
I
too, man.
I mean, obviously you are, but man, let's go Vikings, man. I'm gonna be in my full Viking cheering mode on Sunday night.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited, but I think I said this a few weeks ago. I don't look at this team any like I think I said this before the Seahawks game.
Yeah,
I said if we go 1-2 or 3-0, I don't look at this team any differently. Like I feel confident whoever they match up with that they have a good shot of winning.
for sure.
Obviously, I want the 1 seed. I think it would give Sam Darnold even more confidence to get the 1
Yeah,
seed.
for sure.
And he has been I couldn't even ask for anything better. It still blows my mind that they'll like mention Jared Goff for MVP, but they won't even mention Sam Darnold. No knock on Jared Goff, but it's like Sam
No,
Darnold's been so awesome this whole
so
year, man.
awesome. I just
Um,
don't is there a world where he isn't just the best story? I mean, he's the 4th leading passer in the NFL.
I mean, dude, they're holding him up in the locker room like Rudy last week.
Unbelievable.
But
It was awesome.
seriously, everything about this team, like Kevin O'Connell is so awesome. I've liked him ever since they hired him. I can't believe he's done this with the offense, and everyone's on the same page. Everyone likes playing with each other. It's
Yeah.
funny because we were talking about like before the podcast. I was like, yeah, the dancing is like bordering on like corny, in my opinion, just a little bit. But I would much rather have it this way than the opposite way. And like the fact that they're like learning dances to do when they get turnovers every week, like that, they're just having fun and they just love playing with each other, which I love to see.
Yeah, and I think I said it to you. You'd rather have a good team having fun doing dances than a bad team doing no dances. Uh,
Yeah,
and well, it's gotten more publicity. You love to see the continuity. I mean, you don't see locker rooms like that a lot. And you don't see a guy like Sam Darnold go into a locker room after a win that, I mean, it was a great win, but it doesn't mean much, really, because it didn't change what this game meant. But it means these games mean something to this team. It meant something to them to sweep the Packers, and I think it's going to mean something to them to go in there and win this game in Detroit. And that's what I'm cheering for. I'm cheering for the videos after the game. I'm cheering for the defense to go out there and have fun. I'm cheering for Darnold to be what he's been all year, and I'm cheering for Addison and Jefferson to explode.
yeah, yeah. Me,
So
me too, man. That locker room video will be insane if they win this game.
it'll be awesome. And your coach is just so great. I see these videos of the way that he is at practice, he is during the games. He's starting to get the publicity he deserves for what he's doing there. And the way that he communicates with the guys is just fun. It's
Yeah,
different
I
than what
mean,
you see. It's Andy Reid like, where it seems like he just gets the personalities.
he does, and it feels like he has taken the time to know to study and learn what is best for like everybody on the team.
Right. Right.
And I, I mean, you'd expect that out of most coaches, but it's cool to see, man. And I like O'Connell and Flores. This is just an awesome combo. I love it, man. I will
Yeah.
say, I swear, if Kirby Joseph breaks one of my guys' knees this game, I might fly to Detroit and hunt him down.
How about this? If he breaks a crucial player's leg in this game, any player's leg in this game, we'll buy tickets to Detroit and we'll chain ourselves to their training facility.
Dude, he does it all the time. That's what I'm scared of because he did it to Higby on the Rams a couple years ago.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
Stafford was like in his face about it. And
I
he's had
remember that.
all these like low hits where he's killing people and it's just I don't know, man. Just protect your knees, everyone, please.
Run safe. Run safe. You
I
see
also
Joseph.
I also feel like the Lions might have a dance, and this is what has me concerned about all the dancing, right? It makes me feel like someone like the Lions or the Eagles
Yeah.
or one of these really good teams is gonna have a dance lined up for when Sam Darnold throws an interception.
Oh, look,
And
dude, I lived in Dantagon Alley, dude. We had Juju Smith-Schuster, and it was like
yeah,
anytime something happened, we were getting TikTok danced on.
exactly, man. It's like it's fun for a while, but as soon as one of these good teams wants to give it back to you, you got to be ready. That's the only concern I have with the dancing.
Ah, well, hey, look. If that's your biggest concern, you're in a good spot.
It's true, man. And yeah, I'm so pumped for this game. I just hope the game is like so good too.
Same.
I expect it to be though. I expect both these teams to. I expect it to be pretty close to what the first matchup was like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I I think that it's going to be close. I don't think that by any means the Vikings are like going to blow these guys out. It is in Detroit. Detroit still is a good offense, but I expect this to be an awesome game, and I expect it to be just a little bit flipped here, where the Vikings are on top this time. I will say, when it comes to the dancing thing, we are dangerously close to step up three.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what they got in store for this week. I know they have
Yeah.
something crazy though.
Oh, it'll be funny. I'm sure it'll be cool.
It
So
yeah, it'll be funny. And I do have a side note. Big Cat
yes,
was shit talking my kicker this week.
that's not cool.
Will Reichard.
Not cool.
Um, I I really want him to hit the game winning kick and just
Send you guys to
stick
the
it to
first
Big
team.
Cat.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what Big Cat's making fun of other people for right now.
Yeah, dude, that's what happens when you're just pitiful as a franchise.
Yeah, like
Just
why are you picking on the Vikings kicker who's missed like 2 kicks all year? He's like
why are you
saying he
picking
looks
on the
like a dweeb
Vikings,
and
man?
stuff. I'm like, what?
Why are you picking on the Vikings? Come
Dude,
on.
maybe you should get a kicker that can kick it more than 5 feet off the ground. You'd have a couple more wins.
Yeah, isn't he, double doink history forever?
Yeah, I mean he's just a loser.
We're tagging him in this. Well, it feels like no better way to end the season than with that.
Yeah.
Well, good job by you, Jalen, and thank you for doing this all year. It's been fun.
Yeah, man, 18 weeks. We got what, 5 more weeks to go with playoffs
Yeah,
and Super Bowl.
yeah, and I look forward to next week more than I've looked forward to most things.
Yeah, we did skip over the points at the start too.
Oh yeah. So do you want to run it down because it is close?
It is 3 point differential. I'm up 3 on Charlie. We have agreed that if it stays within 3 for either person, we're going to carry this on to the playoffs.
Yeah,
But
but
I would like to propose if somebody wins by more than 3, we just start one for the playoffs too, because this is fun to do.
oh, that's fun. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we're gonna do it anyway, but yeah, let's do that.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, thank you, Jalen, and good job.
Yeah, you too, man.